There are pageant winners, and then there are stories waiting to happen. And in 2026, the Philippines may have just found one in Bea Millan-Windorski, because her journey isn't just about winning a crown, it's about identity, distance, and the quiet tension of belonging to two worlds at once. Born in the United States, raised in a community that wasn't deeply diverse, Bea grew up with a reality many Filipinos understand but rarely articulate: that strange, persistent question, where do I truly belong? And instead of running from that question, she built her entire narrative around it. Before she even stepped into Miss Universe Philippines, she had already proven she wasn't just another beauty queen. She represented the United States in Miss Earth 2024, finishing as Miss Earth Water. That alone tells you something crucial. She understands the global stage, she knows how to compete beyond borders, and more importantly, she knows how to translate identity into impact. Fast forward to May 2nd, 2026. At the Miss Universe Philippines 2026 coronation night held at the Mall of Asia Arena, she wasn't just a contender, she was a frontrunner from day one. But here's the thing about frontrunners: they don't win because they're expected to. They win because, at the exact moment it matters, they deliver something undeniable. And for Bea, that moment came during the final question. She was asked, why is it still worth representing the Philippines despite growing frustrations among Filipinos? Her answer was not flashy, not rehearsed to perfection, but it was dangerously sincere. She spoke about balikbayan boxes, about families separated by survival, about the need to build opportunities at home, and then she sealed it with a line that defined her reign: I promise to be a public servant for all. That's when it clicked. She wasn't selling a version of the Philippines, she was confronting its reality, and still choosing it. From top 30 to top 15 to top 7. Bea's performance was not explosive, it was controlled, measured, intentional. Even her evening gown, a copper gold piece inspired by La Union's coastline, was not just fashion, it was storytelling. Every step she took felt like it had a purpose. And in pageantry, that's deadly, because judges can sense when a candidate isn't just performing, but owning the moment. When the crown was placed on her head, it wasn't shocking, it was inevitable. But here's where things get interesting, because winning Miss Universe Philippines is not the end, it's the beginning of pressure. The Philippines is not just any pageant country, it's a powerhouse, a nation that expects excellence, that studies every move, that remembers every queen, and Bea knows this, which is why her early post-win statements already set the tone. She openly expressed support for the LGBTQIA+ community, even sharing that her own sibling is a trans man. That's not a safe move, that's a defining move, because it signals what kind of queen she intends to be, not just polished, not just diplomatic, but personal. Now let's talk about the bigger question. Can she win the 5th Miss Universe crown for the Philippines? If you break it down objectively, she has 3 major weapons. First, global experience. She's already competed internationally. That removes fear. Second, narrative. A Phil-Am returning home, choosing the Philippines not out of convenience but conviction. And third, communication. Because pageantry today isn't about perfect answers, it's about authentic positioning. And Bea understands that better than most. If she wins the Miss Universe crown, she won't just be another Filipina queen. She will represent a new archetype, the diaspora Filipina who comes home not to reconnect, but to lead. And that changes everything. Because her reign wouldn't just focus on beauty, it would focus on systems, on migration, on opportunity, on the emotional cost of leaving home, the kind of topics that hit deeper than applause lines. But here's the real long game. What happens after the crown? Because the smartest queens don't peak at Miss Universe, they build after it. For Bea, the path is almost obvious. Public service, advocacy work, possibly even policy-level involvement if she chooses to push it. Because she already framed herself not as a celebrity, but as a servant. And once you say that publicly, you're locked into it. There's also her modeling career. Her exposure in international fashion circuits, including New York and Fil-Am fashion events, gives her a parallel lane that most queens struggle to build. She doesn't need to choose between advocacy and industry. She can do both, and that's rare. But here's the honest truth. Her biggest challenge won't be the competition, it will be expectation. Because once the Philippines believes you can win, they don't just support you, they watch you closely, relentlessly. Every answer, every walk, every decision, and if Bea can handle that pressure, then yes. The fifth crown is not just possible, it's within reach, because at the end of the day, pageantry is not about perfection, it's about timing. And right now, Bea Millan-Windorski feels like a woman arriving at exactly the right moment, not just to represent the Philippines, but to redefine what it means to choose it. But there's one more layer to Bea Millan-Windorski that sets her apart, and it's the one most people are still underestimating, her political articulacy. Because let's be clear, pageantry has always flirted with social issues, but very few queens actually engage with them in a way that feels grounded in lived reality. Bea does. You can hear it in how she talks about migration, not as an abstract concept, but as something personal, structural, systemic. You can see it in how she frames opportunity in the Philippines, not as blind optimism, but as something that needs to be built. And that kind of framing, that's not accidental. That's someone who understands that representation is not just symbolic, it's political. In many ways, her presence echoes the kind of queens the Philippines doesn't produce often enough anymore. Women like Maita and Nelia Sancho. Women who didn't just wear crowns, but challenged power. Maita walked away from the glamour and joined the resistance during one of the country's darkest periods. Nelia Sancho used her platform to speak on labor rights, women's rights, and national issues long before it was fashionable or safe. These weren't safe queens. They were dangerous in the best possible way. And Bea? She's not replicating them, but she's tapping into that same energy. Because when she speaks, there's a noticeable shift. She's not trying to be universally liked, she's trying to be understood. And sometimes, even that's secondary to being honest. That's rare in modern pageantry, where answers are usually engineered to avoid friction. Bea doesn't avoid friction, she reframes it, and if she continues down this path, she could very well become one of the most socially relevant Miss Universe Philippines title holders in recent memory. Not because she says the right things, but because she's willing to say the necessary things. Which brings us back to the bigger picture. If she wins the Miss Universe crown, she won't just be another Filipina added to a legendary roster. She will represent a shift, a queen who is not just aspirational, but confrontational, not in tone, but in substance. The kind of queen who doesn't just inspire people to dream, but pushes them to question, to reflect, to demand more. And that's far more powerful than a crown. Because long after the lights fade, long after the final walk, long after the applause dies down, what remains is impact. And Bea Millan-Windorski is positioning herself not just to win a moment, but to leave a mark, the kind that doesn't disappear,